Hey friends, Shay here. So let's talk about what I read in the second half of June. If you're interested in what I read in the first half of June, I will leave that linked in the corner for you. I think it's this corner. And yes, so I read quite a bit in the month of June. So let's just go ahead and dive in. I'm going to start with the manga and then we'll move into the books. So first up, I did some catch up with Mao, which is a series by Rumiko Takahashi. I read volumes 4 and 5. I really enjoyed them. 10 out of 10 would recommend this series. I feel like this is Takahashi taking everything she's learned from everything she's written and putting it into one series, and it's fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend it. Have a great time every time I'm reading it. Next, there is Puppy Love. This is a single volume story from Tokyo Pop. This one is absolutely adorable. I feel like this is one of the slowest burns I've read from them. It was very slow going, and it's on the longer side. So it's really cute. I really had a great time with it. Basically, this office worker ends up like with a crush on this worker at a pet shop and the little puppy in his care. So it's really cute. I really loved it. Next, I have Catch These Hands Volume 2. I adored Volume 1. These are two girls who were quote unquote delinquents when they were younger. The one who's dressed more femininely in this photo is never really wanted to be a delinquent, but she wanted the attention of the girl who was the delinquent. Now they've gotten reacquainted as adults, and she challenged the delinquent to date her. She lost in a fight, so they are currently dating. And it's full of shenanigans and adorable, and I just love it. Next, I did some catching up on The King's Beast. Now, in this one, I don't think everyone's going to love the beginning of Volume 6. There is an incident that happens that confirms who our lead Ajin is in a way, and the way it's done is very not okay, and I'm going to say that it's not okay. Thankfully, it's resolved quickly and it won't happen again, but lines were pushed and I did not appreciate the lines being pushed. I'm going to tread very cautiously and probably read before purchasing any future volumes at this point, just because I'm really shocked that Ray Toma went that direction. I trust Ray Toma, so I'm going to read a couple of volumes before I purchase them and continue on with the series that way. But, yeah, just tread cautiously with Volume 6 in particular. Next, I have Monologue Woven for You, Volume 2. This is a really sweet series about these two college students who are a year or two apart in age, and about how they want their dreams to come true and what that means for them. And I'm not going to say too much more because I don't want to spoil it, but this series is absolutely adorable. It is full color. So if you like a full color series, this is a beautiful sapphic story, and I think it's definitely worth checking this one out. Next, I read Bride Story Volume 13. I only get a volume of this like once a year, so I always love it so much. This particular one, we get to revisit some of my favorites, these sets of twins who are married to each other. Like, they're just adorable. I love spending time with them, and I felt like we said goodbye to a character at a point in this story, but I'm not sure we've fully said goodbye to that character. So I'm really looking forward to the future of this series and what that's going to mean for our characters moving forward. Next, I have Donuts Under a Crescent Moon, Volume 3. I love this story. We're only going to have one more volume, and this story is going to be complete, but I really enjoyed what happened within this volume. I feel like it progressed the intimacy of our characters in a way. I mean, not sexual intimacy, but there is intimacy other than physical. But yes, if it pushed that intimacy a little bit more, they opened up to each other a little more, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic. Next, I have A Sign of Affection, Volume 5. This series is beyond sweet. I love Sue Morishida's work, and I love A Sign of Affection, and I love how Itsunomi really gets Yuki in a way that no one else has, and he does everything he can to continue to appreciate her for who she is and not change her. And it's amazing. I'm really interested to see how this is going to go moving forward. All right, Witch Atelier Volume 9. There is a trigger warning listed before a chapter in this volume, which is something that I've never seen with this series before. And I think it's there because there is a younger audience that is reading Witch Atelier, but this is a dark series, and what happens in that chapter, I think some readers will be fine, others will not. And I would not recommend skipping this chapter, even though they say in the warning that you can skip it. I feel like there's some important canon things also happening in that chapter. And so I think that you would be missing pieces if you fully skipped it. So if you need to breeze past the hard part, go for it. But pay attention to the rest of the chapter, is what I'll say. But I still love the series. I'm still giving it 5 stars, and I can really appreciate what they're doing with this series a whole lot. Next, we have The Abandoned Empress Volume 2. Again, this is a full-color manhwa, and I really like the progress that is happening for Arista in this volume. I feel like Volume 1 set up the series very, very well for where we're at in Volume 2. And we see a different side of one of our characters, this gentleman here on the front. And we thought him one way, but he's acting another way. So I'm very intrigued to see how that is going to progress moving forward. Things with the Duke are different than I expected as well. Or the Emperor, I should say, not the Duke. There's one with the Duke in the next the next volume I'm going to talk about has a Duke. That's why I was thinking about the Duke. But the Emperor in this one, things are going to be very different than I expected with him in the first volume. And I love this series a whole lot. Like, if you're not reading The Abandoned Empress, I highly recommend you get on that train early. Next, I have why Raylia ended up at the Duke's mansion. So in this story, Raylia is fated to kill her fiancé. Oh, to be killed by her fiancé. So she's trying to break the engagement with him. And so she recruits the Duke to basically become betrothed to her so the other guy backs off. So he is a very cold and interesting character. Again, we are dealing with a full color manhwa, and I love this so much. It is so good so far. I'm very much looking forward to the future of the series and to watch him thaw a little bit and her to toughen up a little bit. And it's amazing. I'm absolutely excited. She's already showing strength that the original character didn't have, and people are kind of taken aback by it. So the Duke is taking notice of her because of that, and it's amazing. I love it a whole ton, so would recommend. Oh, then we're going to talk about Wand Dance. Now, Wand Dance is a series about a teenage boy who wants to dance, but he thought he had no rhythm. And so he works very hard at it after seeing one of his classmates dancing. I mean, the art in this series is absolutely stunning. You can feel the movement in the panels. I mean, all of it. Like, it's amazing. And the use of color, like of black and white, and how it emphasizes movements and passion is just something that I don't see often in manga. So Wand Dance is definitely one to pick up and at least flip through because the art is absolutely stunning. I know a dance story isn't going to be for everyone, but I would still recommend trying this first volume because it is full of heart and passion and love for something, love for dance. And I think people can definitely relate to that. So I would 10 out of 10 recommend Wand Dance. Next, I'm going to talk about the Muscle Girl Next Door. This is the most adorable thing ever. So we have our buff muscle girl from next door, and we have the boy with the crush on her. And this is full of adorable shenanigans. They are absolutely adorable together. It's only one volume, but I would kill for more. This is so cute. It does end kind of abruptly. My camera's gonna die, so we will check back after I'm done at work today. Hello. So it's actually the next day, so that's why I look different. My hair's different. My shirt's different. I was way too tired last night after I got home from work to film, and you guys deserve my best attention. So, with that said, we were talking about the Muscle Girl Next Door. This is so adorable. Like, Again, it does end kind of abruptly, and I would love to see the mangaka come back and spend some more time with this couple, because I feel like things were just starting to get good when it ended. But this is full of adorable shenanigans and how a crush can slowly go noticed by the person you're crushing on, and how they may equally have a crush and let you know in a very subtle, adorable way. So I love everything about this. It's so stinking cute. Like, yes, it's only one volume, so pick it up, read it, however you want to read it, but I adore them. They are so cute. They are probably one of my top couples I've read this year. Like, they are just so cute. And I think only fondly of this manga because I just was giggling and smiling the whole time I read it. It was so cute. This one is X-Gender. I may have mentioned this in another video already, but I wanted to mention it here. This is about a non-binary main character in which they are kind of exploring life as a non-binary person and how a lot of people in their life struggle with that. And finding love is very hard for them because no one understands them because they're still learning and understanding themselves. And it is fantastic. I think it's so well done. We see a wide variety of queer characters in here, including a pansexual transgendered person. They identify as male, and I really enjoyed their perspective, being pansexual myself. That warmed my little heart because I never see that in manga. So yes, if you're looking for a good queer manga that, you know, talks very openly about what it means to be queer, definitions of being queer, and various definitions for various different queer people, this is great. I think a lot of those definitions will decrease as the series goes on, but in this first volume, it's very heavily put that way, and it's still brilliant. I really loved it. Okay, we're going to talk about a beautiful autobiographical manga, and that is, of course, Until I Meet My Husband. This is one of the best volumes of queer manga I've ever read. This is autobiographical about the first male couple legally married in Japan, I believe it is. There's a novelization. I believe there's even a drama done about this story, but I thought the manga was beautifully done. The art is absolutely stunning, but this made me so happy yet so sad at the same time. You feel the gambit of emotions with this man as you go on his journey from his young life to his adult life and meeting his partner. And I really just felt everything you could possibly feel while reading this. It is beautiful. It is lovely. And I would 10 out of 10 recommend that everyone pick this up. Only because I think it is a really logistically great look at what it means to be queer in Japan and how that can affect someone in their life. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people who will relate very deeply to what this man went through in his life. And my transition to my identity was a lot smoother than this, but I wholeheartedly believe that everyone can get something out of this one. It is beautiful. It is the story of someone's life, and it's one of the best autobiographies I've ever read. I do plan on picking up the novelization as well when I can get my hands on it, but the manga is fantastic. Would 10 out of 10 recommend. I just remembered I have a couple of other ones to talk about that I don't physically have. Either I read them and I didn't enjoy them, or they were digital arcs that I got early. And then there's one that I have out on loan that I forgot to talk about. So we have Futarabeya. I read the first volume of this and was ultimately just kind of bored and confused reading it. It is a 4-koma style story. I think I'm just past the phase of my life where I can relate to these characters, so I just didn't get it. So kudos to people who love this one. It is just not for me. Next, I have A Serenade for Pretend Lovers. Obviously, this is a pretending to be together style romance, and I was loving this one so very much. I thought the characters were very engaging to read about. The art is fantastic, and I had a great time. Definitely looking forward to more from this one. And then the last manga we're going to talk about, well, one of the last manga we're going to talk about is A Nico Colored Canvas, Volume 1. Now, this one is sweet. I do think, personally, that Blue Period and Blank Canvas have done storytelling about art better for me personally. But this one's still really sweet and charming and cute. So if you're looking for a story about art, but the others feel maybe too intense, this might be a better fit for you. It's still about art school. It's still about all of the things that people experience in art school. So I would definitely recommend picking this one up. And then last for the manga, truly last for the manga this time, we have Outbride, Beauty and the Beasts. I have talked thoroughly about this in a video review, so I will just refer to that so that you guys can get my full thoughts. Essentially, I'm on the fence about the series. I am going to pick up one more volume. Depending on what happens in that volume will determine if I keep going. But I can totally understand why people wouldn't like this one. Because again, I'm on the fence. So I gotta see how I feel moving forward. My biggest concern is the guy featured on the volume of book 2. So that one will determine how I really feel about it. So again, on the fence, tread cautiously if you do pick it up. All right, I've got a few physical reads, and then we'll talk about my digital reads when it comes to books, because that is all the manga. First up, we're going to talk about Matched by Masala by Mona Shroff. This is a really cute cooking style romance. Mona Shroff is one of my favorites. This is one of her Harlequin, more lighter-hearted ones compared to her heavier hitting titles. But this one was still so fun. I thought Amar and Divya had great chemistry from the get-go. This is a, sister's best friend style romance. It's really cute. I really loved it. And would definitely recommend picking this one up. I have a more thorough Goodreads review, so go ahead and check out my Goodreads. If you're not, the link is down below. Next, I have Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. I buddy read this with Lindsay over at Lindsay Tut, and this is a really politically heavy queer sci-fi romance. So it does have a very strong romance at its core, but I would ultimately call this a political sci-fi. Because I feel like the sci-fi was more dominant to the relationship, and it is a political marriage that gets them into this situation anyway. So I'm going to caveat that because I know not everybody loves a political story. I don't think this one was too heavy-handed one way or the other, but it is very centered in the politics of this world. So if that's not really your jam in sci-fi, this may not be for you. But I loved this couple. Definitely a grumpy sunshine situation. I really had a great time with this one and would definitely recommend picking this one up. I will be recommending it to as many people as I can at the bookstore because I really enjoyed myself. I know Lindsay enjoyed it a little bit less than I did because of the politics, which is why I'm very openly talking about that side of the story, but these two really have a great dynamic. Next, we have a nonfiction, and that is Dodging Energy Vampires by Christina Northrup. This is an empath's guide to evading relationships that drain you and restoring your health and power. Mostly, this book was helpful to me in a way that reminded me that having barriers with people is okay. I am a person who is prone to giving too much of myself, and when I was doing hair, there were clients that I used to call black holes, where they would literally drain all of my energy from me when I did their hair. So those clients I had to either book at the end of my day or on a day where I left after they were done because I was so drained. And that was really just them sapping all of my energy reserves that I had. I noticed myself doing that at the bookstore sometimes too, where I would give too much or push too hard. So having boundaries is healthy, and this book reminded me of that. It does it in a little more of a healing of the earth style. So if that's not really your jam, then maybe don't pick this one up. But I learned a lot from this book, and I really would recommend it if you feel very drained by other people around you. It may help you protect yourself a little bit better. I know it's helped me thus far. I finished it almost 2 weeks ago now, and I feel like my barriers, I'm doing a lot more to protect myself. So now we're going to talk about a book I haven't talked about anywhere yet, and there's a reason for it. And that's Darling Girl by Liz Michalski. Yeah, Michalski. I hated this book. I did not finish it. I just could not make myself read this. This is a really toxic, full of drugs and harming your family style Peter Pan. And that really wasn't okay for me. And I ended up not enjoying this. I will not be keeping this book. I would not recommend this book. I was really excited for a Peter Pan retelling, and this was not good. None of us, I buddy read this with Lindsay from Lindsay Tut and April from April Sarah, because this was our Tell It Again book in June, and no, I just couldn't do it. I'm very excited about our July read though, which is Lore Olympus Volume 2, if you missed that. So yes, would not recommend this book. Getting rid of it now. Like, it's literally going in my pile right next to me of things I'm getting rid of. So bye-bye, darling girl. All right, I've got some digital reads we need to talk about. So I did finish off the Wicked Villain series. So I read The Beast, The Sea Witch, and Queen Takes Rose. I think of the three, Queen Takes Rose was the most fleshed out for me. In reading The Beast, I liked it very much. I definitely think it's the best throuple in this series, personally, for me. There was just a lot of believability in what was going on there, and I really enjoyed the three of them as humans as well as a couple. The Sea Witch, however, I think they did Ursa dirty, honestly. This whole dynamic was not very believable for me. Alaric really didn't add anything to this couple. I think it could have been Ursa and Ariel, the Ariel character, I'm forgetting her name. It almost would have been more enjoyable for me, just because he was kind of a garbage human. I just did not enjoy his character at all. I did not believe that the three of them were a couple at all. And honestly, with this strong, powerful black woman as Ursa, like, I feel like she was done dirty. I'm sorry. I just do. So this is like a 2.5. So it's one of my least favorites in the entire series. And then we have Queen Takes Rose. Queen Takes Rose, I felt was very believable. It's very tied into the Sabine Valley series. And having read Sabine Valley before I read Wicked Villains, I think gave me a different perspective on Malone that I could really appreciate. Because I know the family dynamic already that Malone is referring to. And I really thoroughly enjoyed watching these two come together, because why they came together and why they fought being together for so long makes so much more sense now. So yes, Queen Takes Rose, of those three, was my favorite. But The Beast was my favorite throuple in the series. Next, I have Neighborly by Christina Jackson. I'm very late to the game on Neighborly, and this one was really fun. Essentially, it's about, someone being very welcoming. We'll just say that. This is a very short erotic novella, so I'm not going to say too much, because I think the less you know going in, the more fun it is. So would definitely recommend it, though. Next, I have Fallen to You by... Oh, the author name's cut off. So, by this person. This one was fun. It was cute. It didn't really do anything wrong in the story. The writing was a bit rougher for me. They didn't use like they, them, she, her kind of pronouns. Oh, by the way, this is a fall-centered sapphic story about 2 Black women. And like it was all like first names rather than pronouns. And they may have just been trying to avoid pronouns, which is fine. But it rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. So I ended up giving this one like a 3-star. The romance was cute, but that kind of got annoying as I read it. So there's that. On the list, we have Crankshaft by K.M. Newhold. This is a male romance about a mechanic and a veterinarian. Like, they are adorable. And the mechanic has ties to a biker gang in his past. And so there's some like big, overly dramatic things happening here. But the way their relationship develops is so like organic and real that I loved it. I mean, the only thing not real about this book is that legitimately everybody they know is queer. Like, there's not one straight guy among them, and that's just not normal. But it's fine. Like, it didn't bother me much. I gave it 4 stars, really enjoyed it. I do plan on going back to the series because I just had such a fantastic time with it. Okay, I've got one more book to talk about, and that is Red on the River by Christine Feehan. This is the second book in her more like romantic suspense style series. The first one was Murder at Sunrise Lake, and this one pretty much picks up shortly after the other one leaves off. We're following one of the friends of our female lead of the first book, and they're getting ready to go to her wedding, and she decides to go to Vegas early because she has a gambling history and she's very good at it. She has some slightly paranormal style powers, essentially, where she uses up energy to help know what's going on around the entire table so that she's more prone to win. And the dynamic of all of it is really interesting. The romance side of it is a second chance romance. These two had great chemistry, had spent a lot of time together, and then he walked away and kind of ghosted her. And so she was very hurt about it. And he has to do some good grovel to get back in her good graces. I think that was done well. And maybe slightly a little too easily, but he does quite a grovel to try to get back in her good graces. And I think overall, it was a really enjoyable book. Maybe a little long for my taste for the kind of story that was being told. But I think it overall was very well done. I really enjoyed my time with it. I usually enjoy my time with Christine Feehan books, so take my opinion with a grain of salt in that regard. But with that said, I really enjoyed my time and my reading in June. Let me know in the comments down below what you read in the month of June that you really loved, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Was it all just a dream, just all in my head?